The following is a presentation of KSL Sports. First and 12. A total roundup of BYU and Utah football and the expanded Big 12 Conference. Subscribe to the First and 12 podcast. Your hosts are Mitch Harper and Alex Kirry on KSL News Radio.
Welcome back, everybody. It is First and 12 right here on KSL News Radio. Alex Kirry, Mitch Harper, thanks for being with us on a Tuesday. Join us all season long. This is going to be quite the journey for us, Mitch, because we love doing this program. It's the third year of the program. When BYU got added along with UCF and Cincinnati and Houston, and then you had the four corner schools last year. If you can believe it, we are year 3 of doing this show, and we love doing it. You can listen to it, you can podcast it, and you can, of course, dip in. Mitch, right before this, got done with Cougar Tracks with this program, and then we're going to have the coaches show as well. So lots going on a Tuesday just to get you ready for football season. It's our first of the year, Mitch, which means it's our very first Big 12 Power Rankings. Let's do it.
The Big 12 Power Rankings, a weekly rank of all 16 programs, from the elite to the bottom dwellers.
These power rankings are always fun to put together because this league, you can, have Team 16 eventually rise to be number one. That was the case last year as Arizona State took the crown and won the title in the first year of the 16-team Big 12. Will there be someone rising from the bottom to the top this year? I'd like to think, Alex, that this year that's not going to happen, where we're not going to have as much upheaval from the bottom to the top now that there's some data points and familiarity between these programs. But you just never know in the Big 12. As we start with number 16, UCF. I think, again, we talked about Scott Frost's transition year. It's going to be a little bit of a rebuild in Orlando. And then number 15, Oklahoma State. Mike Gundy and the Pokes, 3-9. I'd like to think they bounce back too, kind of similar to Kyle Whittingham in Utah, but so much change in Stillwater for me to say they're going to get back on track.
Yeah, it feels weird putting them there, but that's where they were. I mean, frankly, they were even worse than that last year. And so if we're going to go back to some sort of normalcy in terms of these polls kind of sticking with teams where they were the year before, I don't totally put Mike Gundy's guys out, but I have a little bit. Maybe that's because he doesn't like talking to the media at all. But in the end, Oklahoma State's got a lot to prove to be able to dig out of that 0-9 season last year. We like Rich Rod at West Virginia at 14. 14's still not great, but somebody's got to be down there at 14. And I don't know what to expect out of West Virginia this year. You could see a lot coming in talent-wise. That's a program that has a lot of history that people don't give them enough credit for. And so why not there at West Virginia? Why not get a couple of wins there, not just outside of the conference, but inside the conference for Rich Rod and his guys? I hope they turn it around for the conference sake and for their sake as a program. But for right now, might be a struggle this first year.
And they've got a schedule, though, that could get them off to a hot start going into Big 12 play. I mean, they got Robert Morris at Ohio, which is a weird visit to a MAC school, and then Pitt, backyard brawl in week 3. But I think they could go 3-0 potentially entering Big 12 play. Arizona at 13, they're interesting to me because, 2 years ago, Alex, you and I were talking about the four corners when they were in the Pac-12. I honestly came away 2 years ago thinking Arizona was one of the 3 or 4 best football teams in the country at seasons in 2 years ago. 2 years ago.
Well, they had what you need for that, which is a hot quarterback and an insane wide receiver.
But that quarterback is still there. Noah Fafita.
And again, you talk about guys that I kind of came around on at media days. That's a program that is a lot more proud than I think we give him credit for. This is a guy who's going veteran quarterback in a conference of quarterbacks already. He was at the top of most people's lists, and now he can sneak behind the door and just beat you from that perspective. I don't hate Noah Fafita. He's very small for a quarterback, but I will say insanely electric once he gets going. But yeah, Arizona, they got a lot to prove. We've bumped Colorado all the way down to 12, and I'm okay with that. And I think it's just because when you take away a Heisman Trophy winner and a second-team All-American quarterback, you're going to have that type of a fall.
I do think, though, they are better along the defensive and offensive lines. They got Jaheim Otis from Alabama. They've added more size. I remember last year in the Alamo Bowl against BYU, they were so small compared to BYU in the trenches. And you still got Jordan Seaton at offensive tackle. Really intrigued to see what happens with Caden Salter, Juju Lewis at quarterback, and then, of course, Coach Prime. But they are going to be a spectacle. They always are. Colorado, though, checks in at 12. Houston at number 11. look, people might hear that and think, what? Why are they not in the cellar? But Willie Fritz, I think there's stock being bought into him because he's done it everywhere he's been. He got Tulane to a New Year's Six. He's going to get Houston rolling here very soon.
There's got to be some kind of a cheat code that Houston can unlock for the recruiting situation. If you can recruit that part of the country and you could do it well, you will be the best team in this conference. I mean, bar none. If you can steal away a lot of the guys that TCU and Baylor and Texas Tech are getting out of the state of Texas, if you can dip into Florida and that southeast corner of the United States and get the right guys, Houston has no business being bad right now, and I think Willie Fritz is a great guy to be able to help build that program up.
They lost Shao Wood to Texas Tech, DC. They had an outstanding defense last year. They only averaged 14 points per game last year and still won 4 games and had you average 14 points, you should probably go winless. They were very competitive defensively, and Connor Wegman comes in from Texas A&M, really intrigued by Houston. Here's another intriguing team, I think, Cincinnati at number 10. I've never been sold on the Scott Satterfield hire. I just think that's a weird fit. And honestly, Luke Fickell out of Wisconsin, maybe he's having buyer's remorse because he's on the hot seat up in Madison.
He's trying to bail himself out by hiring Jeff Grimes as that OC this year.
I guess that's going to work out, I think. But if he would have stayed at Cincinnati, this would have been one of the best programs in the Big 12. He should have stayed. But Cincinnati, I think, is bowl game or bust type season.
They have a good quarterback, so you can't. Brennan Scoresby's he's a good quarterback, and you have to give them some credit. He's got targets to throw to, too, including the conference's best tight end, probably.
And also Jeff Caldwell, 6'5", transfer from Lindenwood. He's going to be one of the best receivers, I think, in the Big 12. Cincinnati at 10. Here's where it gets interesting, Alex. Number 9, BYU.
Why would you do that? How did you put Kansas State ahead of BYU, Mitch? I'm just kidding. These are all – we decide this list together, so we're to blame both of us if you want to put us in.
I think, BYU at 9 could still be, an 8-4 football team, but I think you got to give them a knockdown because of – the quarterback change. And it's not just solely like, hey, Jake was flawless. He threw 12 picks. He led the league last year in interceptions. But there's just still a gap in knowledge of everything. I know that the narrative is that he's learned the entire playbook. And look, he's a smart guy. Bear Bachmeier is, but you just got to expect there's going to be some growing pains. And there's some games in the weeds that maybe we're not looking at right now that could be tougher outs for BYU. But they are going to have an elite defense, Alex, and that's going to give them a chance to win any game on their schedule.
We've already had a couple teams shifting around in the rankings because Kansas State lost that game to Iowa State there in Dublin. I think we kept them around where they probably would have been, between that 6 to 8. By the way, it's the mushy middle still of the Big 12, right? That kind of between 4 and 10. Any of those teams could be in that conversation. And frankly, we have no idea what to expect in the top 3. But that 4 to 10 number, any of those teams could jump each other at any point. BYU's in that group. And I think Kansas State is a team that is kind of on the falling off standpoint. I hope that they get it back. They have a tough schedule, but we'll see. I like Kansas better than them at 7. I like what I'm seeing out of Jalen Daniels already, and despite the fact that I don't really love Lance Leipold, I do think that he gets it done as a coach, and he's poised to finally figure it out. And they didn't have a phenomenal start to last year, but they had a really, really good finish despite getting beat up at the very, very end by Baylor. They ruined a lot of people's seasons last year, including BYU's.
They did, and something I'm keeping tabs on going back to K-State is Dylan Edwards, their running back. He got banged up on that punt return opening of the game. I'm very curious to see his status. Number 6, Utah. After a 5-7 season, the Utes check in at number 6. The offensive line's loaded. Devin Dampier is expected to be the newcomer of the year in the Big 12 preseason pick. Defense should be stout as it always is. What's the ceiling for Utah at number 6, you think?
I think that they could definitely move up the list. Why not? But they also went 2-7 in conference last year. Yep. And again, you needed to add the offense, and we feel like that they have, but we also haven't seen it yet. So until further notice, Houston was the dead last in the conference of points per game. And Utah was second to last. Yes. And so having the second best defense in the conference and then having the second worst output on offense, that's what got you to a 7-game losing streak in the middle of the season. I think Kyle Whittingham bounces back, but we just have to see a couple games until we start. This is a living list, Mitch. This changes every week, man. Come on.
Number 5, we got Baylor. We've talked a lot about them today. And then number 4, TCU. We hinted at them being a surprise team in the league. I'm with you, Alex. I think TCU's got a ton of talent, and I think also too, I love having that they got Josh Hoover, Andy Avalos, the defensive coordinator, comes back for year 2. That 3-3-5 scheme. I think they've got better personnel at the defensive line spot to run that. I just think TCU is due for another classic TCU breakout season.
Yeah, we'll see. And the reason we haven't put them even further up, because this was my team that I'm picking to as a dark horse to win the league. But there are other teams that are even more intriguing right now. Texas Tech is one of those. It's not just the money that they're spending on these teams. I think that Joey McGuire, I like that guy, man. I like his coaching style. His guys buy in, by the way, to his system. And if they can get this thing going, again, they have a quarterback. You know, how many of these teams in this league people look at and they go, all right, who's your guy? And I think that Baron Morton, he's set to maybe make something happen this year. And again, Texas Tech is one of those teams that improved in the offseason so much so that they're on national radars too.
How much stock, though, do you put in Quentin Joyner, the running back transfer from USC, going out for the year,
It's
though?
huge. We knocked him because of that also in our program. And I think that, I mean, who knows what you're going to get after that? And who knows if he was even going to be, if Joyner was going to be the end all to be able to replace Taj Brooks. Who knows? But you're asking a lot out of this team, and I think you actually got so much in the transfer portal. It's hard to avoid all that talent. We put Iowa State at number 2 after that win last week, and they're also the defending almost champions.
Runner-up.
They got beat by Arizona State badly in that conference championship game, but they ended number 2 in the conference last year. They already have a win under their belt. It's already one of their rivalry games. They already won that one. It's a conference win, so why not put them at 2?
I think that's fine. And after a big win, too, in Ireland, I think it's fair to put Iowa State there at that spot. And taking down K-State was a really good win for the Cyclones. And then finally, number 1, Arizona State. A lot of returning production. You lose Cam Scattaboo, but you bring back Levitt at quarterback, who I thought at season's end was one of the best quarterbacks in college football.
Jordan Tyson is exciting.
Elite.
He is really good.
He is. And I think Kenny Dillingham is the modern Frank Cush for Arizona State. I think they've got something special with Dillingham in the desert. He has activated the Valley, and I think they're going to continue this thing because typically it was always, okay, Rose Bowl season with Jake Plummer, then they take a massive dip. I think Arizona State's built to maintain itself. Could they be a 8-4, 9-3 team? Absolutely. But I don't expect a losing season from ASU like we saw from years gone by when they were in the pack. I think this is going to be a program that is consistent. I love Kenny Dillingham's view. Someone in the Big 12 can emerge as the Clemson of this league and become the annual powerhouse. Everyone's chasing that. Could ASU be that team? No one has repeated in this conference other than Oklahoma, and they're now in the SEC. So ASU's got the chance to hold down the throne as the defending Big 12 champs, and they sit atop number 1 in our initial Big 12 power rankings for the 2025 season. Let's take a break. And on the other side, we'll get to our Big 12 Sound Roundup. You'll hear from Brett Yormark, Kenny Dillingham, and others in the Sound Roundup here on 1st and 12.
Big 12 Sound Roundup.
Check 1, 2.
The best bites, cheap shots, and excuses from Saturday's postgame news conferences.
Every week here on 1st and 12, Mitch Harper, Alex Kirry with you. We will have some of the best sound bites around the Big 12 Conference. And Big 12 Commissioner Brett Yormark, who's heading into his 4th year leading the league. Will there be an eventual annual contender in this conference? This is Brett Yormark on that possibility.
You know, I think parity matters, and I think ultimately over time, and it's hopefully sooner than later, there'll be a couple of our schools that will emerge, you know, as elite schools that are always part of the conversations at the highest levels, and that's what we're working towards. But it starts with parity and being competitive top to bottom, and I think we're there. And I think we're the best in the conference or in the country when you think about how deep we are, top to bottom. But I do believe that long term, you need certain schools to emerge to the top, and I think we're getting there.
Make no mistake, though, Brett Yormark knows that the national stage with the college football playoff is where it's at, and getting teams there. Maybe the parity stuff, you can say it all day long. We love parity. Oh, I love the parity. This is not the NFL, though. You got to get into the college football playoff conversation. You got to put multiple teams in there. And with the adjustments that they've made in college football, with the college football playoff and with the new metrics, all they're doing is clearing more space for these SEC and Big Ten teams. You're now trying to put your elbows out in this 5+11 model that is likely going to be the future, and you cannot afford to just have these teams beating each other. You're not asking anybody to get worse, but what you're asking is, man, you actually do want a bell cow or two. You want those two teams that everybody fears that when they do line up across from an SEC team or a Big Ten team, it's sixes. I mean, think about Ohio State and Texas this weekend. People look at that game and they go, wow, that's a potential national championship matchup. That's the vibe and the feeling you've got to start having when you talk about what the Big 12 needs to be looked at. Nobody looks and goes, wow, top to bottom, you're talented. No one cares.
Yeah.
Greg Sankey likes it. He doesn't want a top to bottom. He wants to put 4 teams in the college football playoff every year.
And Arizona State head coach Kenny Dillingham, he's going to be the guy that looks to send his team back to the college football playoff. They were there last year against those Texas Longhorns, almost got the win in the Peach Bowl. This is Dillingham on the preseason expectations for his Sun Devils.
I'm not a voter, and I don't really care where people put us. Vote us first, vote us last, vote us in the middle. If we're so focused on other people's expectations of us, then you're going to limit yourself. Who knows? Are we supposed to win 6 games? Are we supposed to win 9 games? Are we supposed to go undefeated? Are we supposed to win 0? Who really knows? All I know is when we show up to work, we should be the very best version of ourselves. And if we compete in something, you better compete to win. And you better compete to be the very best version of yourself every day, over and over again, and you block out the noise.
I got on Kenny Dillingham's kind of bad list. Not really. He's the nicest guy in the world. But he when I said coach of the defending champion Arizona State Sun Devils, he was like, I don't like to hear any of that. Don't do any of that. We're not defending it. Like, no. We're nothing right now. And I love the attitude. He really believes it. He's like, we haven't done anything. He knows that the vibe with Arizona State is they win a conference championship. It doesn't happen very often. Or they have a really, really good team. They make a nice splash nationally, and then they fall right off the planet. And he's just like, I'm here to establish something that's going to last for a long time. And Arizona State, if they put together another year where they're 11-1 on the year or 10-2 and they get to the college football playoff again, they win another Big 12, why can't they be the team then? Why can't they make the argument that they're that team that starts bringing in more players and starts to become more of that national power and that bell cow in the conference? You don't love it if you're a Utah or BYU fan, but you like it if you're the conference commissioner.
The vibes in West Texas are oil money, and it's a lot of oil money. Joey McGuire, head coach at Texas Tech, he's got big expectations for the Red Raiders entering the 2025 season.
I know there's a lot of expectations on the team. We look at it as opportunities. Jack Richards, a good friend of mine, went to Texas Tech. Son played at Texas Tech, and he sent me that text. He says, expectation or opportunity, it's all perspective. And we look at it and we have a great opportunity. I think this conference is really strong. There's a lot of teams that have some big opportunities this year to really make a statement, and we're planning on being one of them.
Are they going to be one of them, Alex?
We'll see. I mean, I really like Joey McGuire. Can they turn a corner this year? They're going to have to. I mean, people want in an era of transfer portals, like you got to be good right now too. And if you're Joey McGuire, you got to be good right now. No excuse. And especially because you had that blow up from Arizona State, who nobody expected. Then everybody goes, well, then it can be done. Why don't you just do it this year, Joey McGuire? So the expectations are there.
Last thing, Coach Prime, Deion Sanders, he's back for year 3, and I honestly think, Alex, no one expected that when Coach Prime took this job, and no one probably expected that he was going to come into this year on the heels of recovering from a battle with cancer. This was Coach Prime this summer discussing his cancer treatment.
But this wasn't easy. Men, everybody, get checked out. Because if it wasn't for me getting tested for something else, they wouldn't have stumbled up on this. And make sure you go to get the right care, because without wonderful people like this, I probably wouldn't be sitting here today, because it grew so expeditiously, I could say.
So real.
It was a really cool press conference too. When he rolled his physician out and just said, "Hey, I kind of want you to star in this thing and get real about all."
He was transparent as could be.
I mean, we're talking about bladders, we're talking about peeing in the middle of the night, all of it. So I like it. I like the transparency and a PSA for those guys out there to go get checked out. So he had that bladder cancer. He got it taken care of. They feel like they got everything and it's taken care of now. But there's Coach Prime. Say what you will about the man. He has absolutely taken Colorado to a different level since he's been there as the head coach. Coach Prime, I wish him nothing but health. I just wonder how long he's going to stay there at Colorado.
I agree, and we'll dive into Colorado's upcoming matchup and the rest of the Big 12 in Week 1. We'll discuss what's next in the Big 12 Conference. It's 1st and 12 here on KSL News Radio.
The following is a presentation of KSL Sports. First and 12. A total roundup of BYU and Utah football and the expanded Big 12 Conference. Subscribe to the First and 12 podcast. Your hosts are Mitch Harper and Alex Kirry on KSL News Radio.
Mitch Harper, Alex Kirry, thanks for joining us. It is First and 12 right here on KSL News Radio. Thanks for being with us on the program every Tuesday evening, 7 to 9, right here on your dial. You can also listen to the podcast. You can dive in with so many different things. Mitch, football season, it is week 1. We have more stuff than we've been able to talk about all off-season long. It's been a long off-season because when you wait to see what the expectations, what the Big 12 could deliver this year is fascinating. And you know what? What they could deliver coming up next week. This could be exactly what the doctor ordered. I love getting it all kicked off, and here's what we're expecting the week ahead.
The week ahead. Matchups that have us the most excited about the week to come in the Big 12.
You know what has me excited, Alex, is just the fact that we've got Big 12 football on Thursday, on Friday, on Saturday, and Monday. Oh, my goodness. It's going to be an awesome week 1, and as it all starts on Thursday night, August 28th, 4 Big 12 teams in action on Thursday, most of which are Big 12 versus FCS teams. You got UCF versus Jacksonville State, Oklahoma State, UT Martin, Houston versus Stephen F. Austin. Hopefully none of those teams have a head-scratching performance against an FCS team, but the showcase game, and we're going to learn a lot about Scott Satterfield's squad. Cincinnati versus Nebraska in Arrowhead Stadium. You got Dylan Raiola, Patrick Mahomes Jr. in his home stadium, basically, against the Bearcats. Think Cincinnati gets it done against Matt Rule and the Cornhuskers?
Well, I'll say, speaking of guys on the hot seat, I don't care who you are. If you're at Michigan, you're on the hot seat. And Matt Rule has been I like what he does. I like his attitude and his approach. He just hasn't been able to turn that corner. I mean, this is a legitimate blue blood program. I mean, when I was growing up, it was Nebraska, Florida State, Miami. Like those were and your Oklahomas and your Texases, you're like, that's old news, man. We got these teams over here. We got Tom Osborne winning 3 national championships in 4 years. Like that's what you expect there, and they expect it too. And they're going to fill up Memorial Stadium because they do during the season. But I'm telling you, They've got a lot to prove. We asked Scott Satterfield about this very game, when they went to at Big 12 Media Days, because it was fascinating to think they're going to play this game at Arrowhead Stadium. These college players love to be on that NFL stage. They like being at Kansas or at Kansas City because they're such a big NFL franchise, and everybody looks up to them. And Dylan Raiola, no better person to put back there than a guy in red wearing number 15 and looking like Patrick Mahomes in the pregame. But I don't know, Mitch. I'm looking at the schedule here, and Kyle Whittingham actually said it at his press conference this week. He's like, I kind of hope that they go to some preseason games. What's your vibe on the preseason thought? Because these could be games that you maybe play a week or two ago, and then you start to get into a quote unquote real schedule. I've told you my disdain for the FCS program games, not because I don't like those teams, but I don't like this idea of, hey, let's just have these garbage games at the front end of the season. Look, pay these guys, fill your stadiums a little bit early maybe with some preseason games. I love that idea because these weeks, I know we get excited about them, but Kansas versus Wagner, I watched Wagner get 98 points hung on him 3 or 4 years ago against Stephen F. Austin. You remember this? 98-0? I mean, I don't know. I don't love it, but I do like the idea of preseason games. I wonder if we're going to end up seeing that turn into that model, since this is basically a semi-pro league.
I think that the preseason idea is great. I also like the idea of play these FCS teams in May. If you go to more OTA model, get a thud period or 2 with an FCS team. Get an idea of who your new transfer portal, spring portal window players are, and actually see them. Because, again, as I said earlier in the show, Mike Gundy, until fall camp, had not seen pretty much half his roster actually go through a practice. And to actually get some film on the players that you spent a premium on in the portal, let's get some actual work and get the fans a chance to see these guys.
Listen, Kyle Whittingham was on board. You know what that means? We could get film early on the Utes, man. And if he's okay with it, if he's okay.
Wall of wit doesn't go down easily, so that's pretty noteworthy.
Get a couple of series with your starters. You know what I mean? And not even go full speed. Put that red jersey on the quarterback. I don't care. The black jersey on the quarterback. I don't care. But what you do is you get a couple series there. How nice would it have been to actually have seen the quarterback 2 battle up at Utah with those guys in a couple of preseason games? You want to see them get in there and get some reps. Sell some friggin' cougar tails down at BYU in the preseason too. You know what I mean? These guys are out to make money. It could be a model for that. You don't need to pay $1 million to either to these teams. Do a couple preseason games. Pay them a few $100,000. You're still getting some money to those FCS programs, and you're not trying to injure your guys. Everybody knows what the stakes are. It's like, hey, you're going to see a lot of 3rd and 4th string guys, and you might even see some guys who end up getting cut by the end.
I want the Kalani Sitake scheduling model, and Kalani was fighting for this at Big 12 Media Day. 3 non-conference games, 1 against the Big 10, 1 against the SEC, 1 against the ACC. It's so simple, but it makes so much sense. And every fan is signing up for that, because if this truly is a pro model, and honestly it is with the way these guys are getting paid, you don't want to see Kansas versus Wagner. You don't want to see UCF versus Jacksonville State. Well, look, Jacksonville State, I should give them some credit. The Gamecocks are an FBS team, but still. Like, I want to see Cincinnati, Nebraska. That's an awesome game.
And I'm telling you, The reason that works, and it might work more in the future, and that it won't fall on deaf ears as much, it's because the College Football Playoff Committee this week decided they're going to adjust those metrics. You're not going to be dinged for scheduling tough opponents.
Yeah.
And not only that, they're going to a 9-game conference schedule. That was huge news. And on top of it, in the same press release, they described, hey, we're also asking our teams to add a Power 4 opponent on top of that. So they're going to play at least 10 really legitimate games, but why not play 12 and have a couple of preseason games before that?
And one of those SEC teams this week on Friday, we talked about it earlier, Baylor going to take on Auburn in Waco Friday night, 6 p.m. on Fox. And then another Friday night game, Colorado, Georgia Tech. This is like an old school 1990s co-national champion deal. Weren't these two the co-national titles?
1990, right?
I think so.
And speaking of, a cloud of dust, I mean, Georgia Tech, think about like the history of college football. That's where John Heisman coached, man.
The heart of Atlanta, right there.
It's crazy. So I think this is a fun game, and Georgia Tech is one of those teams that you're like waiting to have turn a corner again and kind of be themselves, so to speak, and get back to history. But in terms of teams that are in terms of games that still kind of scratch that itch for me, I'm going to look and see Texas Tech and see what they can do. I don't care if it's against Arkansas Pine Bluff. I want to see this insane talent, what money can bring you. And plus, of course, you've got the UCLA-Utah game, Arizona and Hawaii. That's another big one of 2 actual FBS teams. I want to see what they can do. But I really, that Portland State-BYU game, Portland State got it absolutely beat down onto them at their home place by Tarleton last weekend, 42-0. And it wasn't even that close. I think Tarleton had like 2 red zone fumbles on top of so look, I hope Bear Bachmeier and that era of that era of BYU football goes in that direction to look pretty fun, because I'm telling you, Mitch, if it's a 20-6 2017 repeat,
panic button.
Everyone's gonna be nervous, man. It's gonna be crazy.
And Tarleton State hammering Portland State put the even a little, I don't want to say pressure, because BYU will hammer Portland State, but I mean, you better score at least 42, at least.
Okay, but then the other thing happened this last weekend is Stanford loses to Hawaii, and then everybody goes, well, your first 2 opponents stink, BYU. Hey, Bear, throw 5 touchdowns each game, kid. You're right. The expectations get wild for fan bases.
Yeah, man. So you got to put up big numbers. The defending champs, Arizona State, takes on Northern Arizona. And then, like you said, Utah at UCLA, 9 p.m. That's going to be an awesome game. Really curious to see what the turnout is for Utah fans on the heels of a 5-7 season, but I got to imagine there'll be a nice contingent there of Utah fans in the Rose Bowl.
I forgot about this Monday game.
Monday night, Labor Day.
How about TCU?
This is dynamite.
How about TCU versus the Fighting Jordan Hudsons?
Yes.
You've got Bill Belichick's first collegiate game.
Electric.
And TCU.
Cinema.
Come on. The amount of camera time.
Give me that Martin Scorsese graphic. Cinema.
What's the over-under on how many times we see Jordan Hudson on the sidelines out there calling plays with the headset on? Come on.
Yeah, Sonny Dykes, who's been to a national title game, he will get no run on the TV cameras. Jordan Hudson will be on the camera more. People are gonna, the people that get mad about Taylor Swift. This is going to be the college football version of Taylor Swift, and sports fans are going to go on social media, please get her off the TV, but it's just what it's going to be. TCU, North Carolina, first of a 2-game series next year. They're going to play week 0 in Ireland, so this will be the week 0 matchup next year, but TCU, Carolina, Labor Day night in Chapel Bill. Cannot wait for that one to see if this TCU Horned Frog squad does live up to what we think could be a team that surprises not only in the Big 12, but nationally in all of college football. That's the week ahead in the Big 12. We'll close out the show next with some season predictions. It's 1st and 12 here on KSL News Radio.
Today's just the start of the Big 12 and Power 5 talk to come. Listen to JJ and Alex Monday on your drive home. Afternoons from 3 to 6 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back into 1st and 12. Mitch Harper and Alex Kirry with you. As you heard, you can listen to Alex every day on the KSL Sports Zone, 3 to 6 here, and with JJ and Alex. And then you can, if you missed any part of this show, go to the podcast feed, KSLSports.com, KSL News Radio. So many different ways to listen to the show. We appreciate all of you for being on board tonight on this night spot. I know this is Alex's home away from home in many respects, being in this night window.
Thanks for doing the show again, man. I mean, honestly,
absolutely.
It's a lot of work for us during the year because we both have a ton going on, and we have our families that don't see us until December. So, Godspeed, honey. I'll be home at some point this year.
Oh, and then in December you got this guy AJ DeBonza. So long until maybe April, honey. We'll see. We'll see.
It is. But this is so much fun, and college football. I've told you this many times. It's my favorite.
Yeah.
You talk about things that we follow, things that we cover. And people go, oh, you're probably sick of talking about this, but what do you think about this? And when people ask me that, I go, I'm not sick of talking about it. You know why? This is what I would be doing if I were an accountant. I would be talking about this stuff at work anyway. So I love it. So we've got tons to jump into this year, and we've got a lot of things that are absolutely interesting. I'm so glad big-time football is in the state of Utah. I'm glad that Utah and Utah and BYU are both in the state, in the same conference again, and rivals again, and playing every year again. That's the way it should be, and so that makes the Big 12 so much more fun.
We just need the Big 12 to end this October 18th stuff with BYU and Utah.
And look, TCU and Baylor are both playing October 18th also. Like, make these games mean something, like Kansas and Utah at the very end of the year. Come on, man.
If you wanted November early, own it. But just this bouncing around, that to me is now, it's not working in my opinion. But
or just do it in another country in August, okay? Then we'll be fine.
I can get down with that. Let's pull out the budget. Let's go to Ireland.
Send everybody
over.
But
I continue. I said a lot when I was talking on Cougar Tracks about that idea of BYU playing an international game. The pubs would just hate BYU. Like,
they have no idea.
They're going to show up to Aviva Stadium or Aer Lingus Stadium, but they're not going to the pubs, baby.
No, listen,
they're not drinking that Guinness.
No, they're like, I'm looking forward to some of your Irish potatoes. I've heard a lot, and they're like, what about Guinness? And
Kalani's
they're like,
silhouette etched in a Guinness beer. That would be epic content.
No. And then they're like, we have zero alcohol. They're like, still though, I'm not going to be around for any of that. It's like it is going to be. Like, I don't know what they're going to have to do to plan around it, but you're right. It can't be Ireland. It can't.
Mexico City.
It could
Tonga.
be Mexico City
or the islands.
You could absolutely do an island. You could also probably. I mean, look, you could do like a France or something and figure it out, man. I mean, look, the NFL's going everywhere now, so if they pave the way and they find a place, then they find. And BYU fans are going to travel. The epic shot of the missionaries wherever they're at in the world, they're going to be there with those tags on, man.
There would be a lot of BYU fans no matter what.
Let's go.
And we'll see if BYU can maybe get into Arlington. I know we had them low in our Big 12 power rankings. Let's call our shots for the season.
Yeah.
Alex, let's start things off. Who do you think is going to be in the Big 12 championship game in December with John Pardee as the halftime entertainment?
Oh, boy. Okay.
It was Nelly, it was Neo, now it's John Pardee.
I love that Brett Yormark. We've been enough around that guy that he really is like, I've got him on speed dial. He's my best friend.
Did you know we're close. Steakhouse recommendation?
Yes.
He gave you a steakhouse.
It's one of his wife owns. Like, I think, and he's like, tell him Brett sent you. Hey, look at me, Alex. Tell him Brett sent you. They'll know. TCU versus Baylor is who I've got. A rematch of, something that they're trying to make one of those big rivalry games, no better way to do it than to have an October 18th match up with one another and then meet up again in the Big 12 championship game in Arlington between two teams in Texas. I think that would be actually really, really good for the conference. I think that's how good those teams are going to be as well.
Like you, I'm going all Texas, but I'm going to head out to West Texas with Texas Tech making the game against TCU.
Wow.
I am bought into the TCU Horned Frogs at Texas Tech. Maybe I'm sold on all the cash grab and the transfer portal additions, but there's a lot of retention too with Texas Tech. So I'm going Red Raiders and Horned Frogs.
Offensive Player of the Year, Mitch, who do you have? It's probably going to be a quarterback. Right?
Yeah, I'm going to go with a QB because the QB club in this league and all the stats, 2,400 yards, returning from 9 different starting quarterbacks in the Big 12. And one of those guys is Josh Hoover. Maybe I'm just still so in awe of that performance 2 years ago, watching him in person.
As a freshman
against BYU. But I just still think that guy's got the potential to be what you envision Big 12 quarterbacks being, the video game number type guy with 4,500 passing yards. He could be that in this Kendall Briles offense.
Does he shake the furry image that he got during the offseason, Mitch?
That was such a terrible hoax. Oh, goodness.
That was wild. All right, I'm
going with Hoover, though.
I'm sticking with a quarterback also, and it's actually the other side of that Big 12 championship game. Sawyer Robertson is a guy who blew up. He's the reason that they were able to win those 6 games in a row at the end of the year. He saved Dave Aranda's job. That offense got figured out, and he did it. And I think he's going to be exceptional. He's going to be one of those good quarterbacks this year.
Defensive Player of the Year, who you got?
David Bailey. This is one of the – look, you could name off a couple of defensive linemen across the conference. You could name off a couple at Texas Tech, but David Bailey, the transfer out of Stanford, I mean, this is a guy who is a bona fide, like, you pick him. If you're an NFL GM, you pick him. You will not go wrong. This guy will absolutely be in the middle of your defense, solving problems for years to come, and he's going to be a problem for everybody this year.
Can't wait to see him for Tech in action this season. I'm going to go in-state. I'm going to go with Isaiah Glasker. You know, I thought Glasker was exceptional last season, led the league in tackles for loss, and I think he's going to be better this season.
I don't think anybody's that athletic at that size anywhere in the country.
6'5", 240. He plays at that linebacker position. He is so good for BYU at that Sam linebacker spot. Isaiah Glasker, he's my pick for Defensive Player of the Year.
Who do you have for your Coach of the Year?
I'm going to go Joey McGuire. Like you, I'm high on Coach McGuire. I think that this is the breakthrough year for him. The inroads that he has made in not only Texas high school recruiting, but then the portal. He's just done a great job in building and roster construction and inspiring the deep pockets of Texas Tech to commit like never before. Give me Joey McGuire.
I'm going to give you a repeat customer, a guy who was the Big 12 Coach of the Year 3 years ago. How about Sonny Dykes at TCU? If they're going to be as good as I think they're going to be, that's going to be a guy who's going to turn that program around. I think they get 10 to 11 wins, and they shock some people, and they put themselves in that conversation for the college football playoff at the end of the year.
Brett Yormark thinks that the Big 12 will get multiple teams in the playoff. What say you, Alex? How many teams are going to get?
I'm okay putting 2 teams in because I do think that if you have, as long as one of them has no losses in conference or one, you can't have this multiple 2-loss thing and then try to like beg your way in. It's not going to happen this year. So the ACC or the Big 12 are going to be allowed basically 2 entrants into this thing, you hope. And I think that you've got to steal one of those away from the ACC. None of this SMU Clemson garbage. Miami needs to be on the outside, on the very outside looking in. Get your conference champion in from the ACC, and then if the Big 12 is good top to bottom, this is the way they can show it. Get a couple teams in.
I'm with you. I think 2 teams reach the playoff. I think it'll be Texas Tech and TCU, the teams that I'm predicting to be in the championship game. I think they make it to the playoffs. So I think there will be multiple bids for the Big 12, and that's huge because beginning in 2026, it's going to be a new playoff structure. The deadline for that new structure to be created is December 1st, so we'll see what the future of the playoff holds, but it'll be good for the Big 12 if they can get multiple teams into that 12-team field this season. Great show, Alex.
Love it. First one out of the gates, and you did a great job, Mitch, as usual, man.
It's always a blast talking Big 12 football with you, Alex, and we will be back next Tuesday night. If you missed the show at all, subscribe to the podcast wherever you get your podcast. We'll talk to you next week here on KSL News Radio.